Ms. Darian, Caroline, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You've written this book, and it's a fantastically written account on what you've been through. And you start with something very specific, the numbers on the oven clock. They're white and they state 2025. Can you take us back to what happened at that particular time?
So it was a Monday, November the 2nd, 2020. We were in the middle of the lockdown, the COVID period. And I was working from home that day. And in the evening, I was trying to call my mom, as always. And she called me at that time, and I saw those figures in my kitchen. And it is what I've called, a tipping point, because there's a real life before and the life after. The before was my normal life, and I was happy. I had a father and a mother and a united family. And when she called me in the evening, she had to tell me that my dad was raping and drugging her for such a long time. And I was in a shock because when she had to tell me that, I thought when she had to tell me, please sit down, I had something really serious to tell you, I thought that she was about to tell me that my dad was dead.
Yes.
Because he had some breathing troubles, and in the end, there was like it was a kind of a mismatch, for me, and then it was a kind of a earthquake in my living room, and I've lost a part of me in this, during this short conversation with my mom.
What did you lose?
My childhood, my foundation, and I've lost a father.
Yeah, because that's what I realized, because your mom called you to tell you that he had been raping her and been offering her to other men. And I thought, but it was your dad. You had memories of him, fond memories. And I thought,
he was my beloved dad.
Yeah.
I was so close to him. He had my trust, he had my love, he had my faith, he had my respect.
Yeah.
So yes, it's a long mourning process. We are about 5 years now from the revelation of the fact, and it's still really painful.
Yeah, because you've lost your youth, as you say.
Yeah, I lost a part of me.
Yeah.
And now, I think that all these story, makes me realize that, I lost the little girl that I was.
Yeah.
And now I have to face and I have to cope with the new woman that I have now. Yeah. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a working woman, but I've lost, this part of me.
Yeah, because at that time, excuse me, you do write in the book there had been some concerns about your mother's health. Those concerns, did you think about them immediately when your mother told you what happened?
Yeah, during all of these 8 years, we knew that she got something wrong. She was losing her hair, she lost a lot of weight, she had some sleeping troubles. She had incurrently abuse over the phone because, we were living in Paris and they moved to Mazan in south of France, about 800 kilometers from us. So we knew that there was something wrong with her health. And we thought about she was starting an Alzheimer, for instance. We also thought that she had a brain cancer.
Yeah.
We were really afraid. And she did some health, some investigations. She saw different kind of GPs, even, expert, like neurologists.
And nobody thought?
Nobody thought, because, they were searching for something else.
They were not looking for toxins?
No, and we also said that, health professionals are not really trained to identify that kind of, situation.
Yeah.
When you saw a woman who is over 60, you can't think about that.
It's inconceivable. And then you write, because this clock, another clock, plays another role. It's the microwave clock, if I recollect correctly. It has green numbers, and it's, I think, 24 hours after your first conversation. And what happens there?
Right in the morning of November the 3rd, with my two brothers, David and Florian, we had to join my mom in south of France. And we met her, at the police station in Carpentras. And when I entered within the police station, the police officer recognized me, because they were doing some investigation, on these computers, recollecting, more than 20,000 videos and photographs and pictures.
And he recognized you?
And he recognized me. And, but they had to wait a little bit, and at, 5:30 p.m., when we already came back to the house, to this house, I received a phone call from the police station, and they asked me to come back, pretending that they had some new element to give me and so on. I understood that there was something wrong.
You didn't
and I had
go.
And I had to go there, and they had to show me 2 pictures.
Yeah.
And it was even worse, because I had to press charges against Dominique, because I realized that he stopped looking at me as his own daughter.
Because you were on those pictures.
I'm supposed to sleep, but I'm not sleeping. I'm sure I'm sedated. I'm wearing a pant, a beach pant, which is not mine. And I told them right from the start, it's not my pant. And I'm not sleeping.
Was this immediate? When you saw the pictures and you realized it was you, because that took a while?
It took a while. It took, a few minutes for my brain.
Yeah.
To go, it's too heavy, it's too much. It is too much for one brain.
Yeah, to process
in less than 24 hours to realize that you do not know the beloved one that you thought you knew. It's the worst betrayal in a lifetime. He was my father.
Yeah.
Not an unknown person.
And then you realized that he might have abused you as well and drugged you as well. He denies this. You shouted this?
If you look at those pictures, you would see or you would tell, well, okay, you probably are sleeping. I'm not sleeping because I know myself.
Yeah.
I know I'm not sleeping like this, with the light, with the angle of these photographs, focusing on my ass.
Yeah.
And those pictures were, communicated and with different people. There's not only those 2 pictures, there's also some other pictures of me where I'm totally naked in the shower, in my bedroom. And when I discovered, the content of the conversation that he had with all of these people.
Online? About you?
It's about me.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking. I mean, you can't even imagine how painful it is.
No, it's taken because it was in your house during your sleep.
One of the things which is really difficult to integrate as well is that one of those pictures, those 2 pictures, while I'm totally sedated, because I'm still saying that I'm not sleeping like that, was taken in my own house, in my own bedroom. I don't have any recollection of that time.
Have you?
And the other one, I don't know where I am. I'm not even 5 years after, I'm not able to tell you where I am.
Does that give you an immense sense of unsafety?
It's totally crazy, and I felt insecure.
Yeah.
And I had to go to the hospital. I had to stay several nights at the psychiatrist hospital, because you know it's one of your part of your life which is totally collapsed.
It disappears.
And you don't know who you are. It's really tough.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't even have the right word to explain and demonstrate what it feels inside.
Yeah. There's no word for the
There's
feeling
no
you
word,
have.
there's no, yeah.
And at the same time, you're right, that your mother is not, basically, cannot handle the idea that you've been attacked and raped as well.
Yeah, for her, it's, once again, it is too much.
But for you, that must have been extremely lonely.
Yes, it was. And, you know, I think that it's happens really often. In a dysfunctional family, lots of people like me felt alone a lot of loneliness. So yeah, I felt abandoned first by my dad and then by my mom.
You lost both.
I lost a lot.
Yeah, because I read last month you filed a suit against your father concerning these pictures, and I also read in an interview that you mentioned that the lawsuit is symbolic to some extent. Why? Why would you go through that again?
Because right from the start, you know, the public prosecutors didn't put the right qualification. They didn't hear me back to 2020 in this police station.
Right.
And during this trial, during 4 months, from September 24 and December 24, I realized that I needed to go even further for my own person. I don't know if we're going to be able to discover the truth, but at least with these new charges, I'm aligned with myself.
Yeah.
You know?
You're fighting for yourself.
I'm still fighting for myself, but not only for myself, I'm fighting for all the invisible victims.
Who do not know what happened, just like you.
Just like me. We do not have enough evidence on the table. And it's so hard to go on and to get a normal life when you don't know what happened, because it robbed me this part of my life.
Yeah.
And I'm not the only one.
No. No, I think that is one thing that really came across with this whole case. If we look at the court case that followed, that focused on what happened to your mother, mainly, how many women were supporting her, and she grew into an icon because she said the shame needs to switch sides. And she became an icon, and your dad was the perpetrator. And I thought, what does that make you? Where were you in that?
Nowhere. I'm nowhere. We were nowhere with my 2 brothers.
You were together with your brothers?
Yeah, we were there.
Yeah.
But, and believe me, it was difficult because, you know, in this room, in this court, we had on one way our mom and another way our father. And we were in the middle of this mess. And we were talking about our family affair. And you know, that's why I decided to wait before press these new charges, because at that time I realized that it was first my mom's trials.
Yeah.
So, you know, for respecting her till the end of this ordeal, I decided to wait until March 2025.
Yeah. Because if we look at that that trial, what is shocking is not only the dealings of your father or the tens of men, the 70 men involved in the case, but I realized it's also the men on the internet who have seen the pictures of your mother and perhaps of you, who've chosen not to report anything. And I thought, did it change the way you look at men?
I don't think it's changed the way I consider all the men, because I tend to think that it's not all men. I'm more questioning the way we've been considering, you know, what it does happen on the internet, on all the webs, the dark webs, and so on. When we talk about cyber criminality or cyber security, that's a real question. That's a real question mark.
Yeah.
But yeah, all of these men, there are only 51 in this court, but there are probably over 80 people.
You're right, 80, yeah.
Over 80, and we don't even know right after, you know, even after this trial, because Dominique didn't tell the truth, how many came. No. How many came?
Because it was the men who were involved in the court case. They lived near the same village in the south of France, and would that mean for you that is this about the village itself, or would it mean that in any given community?
It's wider than that.
Yeah,
it's wider than that.
This could have happened anywhere.
Now we know. You know, I did a lot of investigation about what is chemical submission.
Yeah.
And it's a real modus operandi. It's a meaning for administrated psychoactive substances to the victim against their will or without their knowledge, most of the time for sexual criminals, for sexual assaults.
Yeah.
And it's not only about Gisèle. It's about probably thousands and thousands of victims in France, including children, in a case of incest, including men, where there's also men.
Who are the victim, you mean?
The victims, and that's the main reason why I wanted to drive awareness about that health issue, because it's a real public health issue, and not only in France.
Yeah.
And yes, we still have to make a lot of progress. We have to optimize the way we identify the victims and the way we support the victims.
Yeah.
At every level.
But because did you know at the time when they told you that moment at 2025, November 2nd, were you aware of a thing like chemical submission? Did you know it was so widespread?
I heard about, GHB, the famous dead drug, but, I discovered right after several months that it's only 5% of those cases
is used with GHB.
Not even 5%.
And the rest?
Most of the time, it's medicine, it's prescription, it's painkillers, anxiolytics, sleeping pills. It's all of this type of medicine coming from, your own cabin. Your own house, and it's quite easy to get those medicine.
Yeah. So the danger comes from oftentimes
from the
inside. Yeah.
And we also know that most of the time, more than 45 of those victims know their rapist, know the one who is going to abuse them.
Yeah.
It's not an unknown people in a bar or in a dark road. No, it's not like that.
The danger is close.
It's coming from the inside. It's coming from home. It's coming from the closed one.
Yeah. You've seen the absolute worst in humanity, perhaps. Have you also seen good in these past 5 years?
Yeah, because I met a lot of people. I had the chance. Writing this book was the first step. And then I really wanted to go beyond and create a movement with Don't Put Me Under, Stop Chemical Submission. And I met a lot of bright people who really wanted to support me, and now it's a collective movement, and I'm quite satisfied because, you know, at least this terrible affair, I'm making something more than that, something useful for the many.
Is that what makes you go on?
I think so. I think it's the way for me to recover and to get a kind of a heal.
Yeah, I understand. Caroline Darian, thank you so much for being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bedankt voor het kijken. Vond je dit nou een goed gesprek? Vergeet je dan niet te abonneren. Een like of een comment achterlaten kan natuurlijk ook. Oh ja, dit gebeurde er de vorige keer.
This kid still have hope that one or two of his brothers and sisters still alive under the rubble.